Joe Ochoa Jr., El Gran Empresario with Fuego Founders and...
Jessenia, Jess TheCEO. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. I can't believe this. You know, what a start of a year, right? 2024, we have so much stuff going on. Fuego Founders, right? We're here to help you through that entrepreneurial journey. But more importantly, we talk about the insights, the growth, what it takes to be an entrepreneur, but all the things that come with it. So, you know, one of the things that's super important is the foundation of a business, right? The formation. How do you form it? Most people don't know that and what it takes. And I'm very lucky because who better yet to talk about the formation of a business but you?
Exactly. I get so excited with this topic because even whenever I present it to my clients, they're like, you're just so passionate about it. And it's because I didn't have these tools and resources whenever I started my business. So for me, helping clients, helping business owners, or people that want to start their business, establish this foundation is very important to me. So what do you think that one of the biggest things that whenever you started a business was, and that you can think and you're like, man, I wish I could have known before? One thing,
honestly, I wish I would have had like a blueprint or a checklist, to be honest with you. That would have just made it so easy because you really don't know. And then you're like, did I get that done? So probably I would say that.
No, honestly, and that's what we have for our clients, actually. We actually have a checklist for our clients whenever they come in and they start their business. So first thing I always tell them is have the vision. What is it that you want to start? What is your passion? What is that drives you, that you're like, you can wake up on a Monday morning and say like, hey, we're good, right? So that's one thing, the first thing. And then second, the startup cost, because a lot of people think like, oh, I'm going to just open my business, but how much is it really going to cost you to start that foundation, right? And like I have clients that come in, they're like, well, I'm going to start a taco truck or a pupusa stand or open a restaurant, but do you really know how much is that taco going to cost you? You have to drive to the grocery store, buy supplies, get the labor done, right? You can't just come in here and be like, hey, I'm going to charge $1.50 because is it really profitable, right? So those are important things, like the first two topics, right?
100%.
And then third is establishing your corporation, either an LLC, DBA. And I love whenever clients come and they're like, well, I just don't know the difference because I put it out there and put out there like exactly what each entity means, right?
Well, I got to stop you there, right?
Yes.
Because we hear these terms, right? LLC, LLP, DBA, or whatever. But to our listeners out there, you know, for us, we deal with it all the time.
Right,
but to our listeners out there, what is an LLC? What is an LLP? What is a DBA? What is that? What is it?
So the DBA pretty much is doing business as. You go and go to the courthouse, you register your name that you're doing business as, you know, taco truck, right? But that is just registered through the county. It's not, and it's linked through your personal. So you can still get that EIN for the DBA, but it's linked to you don't have legal protection.
That's correct.
And then there's layers, right? And then we have the LLC. The LLC is a limited liability company. That one, I always tell my clients, there's two benefits, the legal side and how you're taxed at the end of the year. So that is just, you know, amazing how we can save thousands of dollars at the end of the year just by you having the correct structure for your business. LLP is more for the professional sides. Like I have a therapist that she has an LLP because they have either therapist, dentist, more that second layer of protection for them as well. So then we have the corporations, which is a S corporation and C corporation, right? A lot of people are like, well, what are the difference? So you just have to understand that S corporation and C corporation are the way that you're going to be taxed at the end of the year. Like a lot of people are like, well, what is the difference between an LLC and an S corp? There's no difference. It's the LLC and then you're taxed as an S corporation, small business corporation, which you have to apply to IRS.
Correct. But you also have to, that is a lot of information, but it's valuable information because nobody knows how to start right. Like everything starts with a passion, right? When you're starting a business, start with a passion. I know how to make the best tacos, the best pupusas or whatever. I'm going to go do a food truck or I'm going to do this or I'm going to, whatever that is.
Right.
But the problem is nobody knows everything else and what it takes. And then when you don't form your company correctly, this passion turns into a nightmare.
Exactly.
Because the taxes, you're using your personal credit card and your business credit card. You're mixing those things up or what have you.
Exactly.
And then now the IRS doesn't like that.
No, and I was gonna say that's the second step. Once you establish your corporation or your DBA, the next thing in the checklist is go open your bank account. You need a business bank account for your business. In general, like, do not touch it for personal use. Like, do not.
Yeah. And opening that up, besides like the articles of the corporation, you also need like an EIN number or
Yes.
something. So you talked about that,
right? So in the LLC, once let's say you come and do your LLC, we do the certificate of formation, which is this with the Texas state, the articles of the organization, which I like to call it like the birth certificate of the company because it states like who's the owner, address, all the information, the managing members and all that. Then we do the EIN, which is the ID, the taxpayer ID number, the employer ID number. And that is pretty much the social security of the company. That's how you're going to be taxed, how you're going to do your taxes, how you're going to write W-9s if you have 1099s at the end of the year. And then also the operations agreement. The operations agreement is a legal document that pretty much is the contract of the company. If the future you want to have investors or somebody wants to buy a certain percentage from your company, you can make the change there. That is uploaded to the Secretary of State. It's very important that you understand that there's a state level, which is the Secretary of State, and the Texas Comptroller. The Texas Comptroller is the accounting of Texas, and then we have IRS. Yeah. So there's a lot of things, and that's where a lot of our clients come and they're like, well, I don't want to open a business because mi compadre me dijo que he had to pay so many, muchas taxas y muchas penalidades and all this, but it's because they don't have the resources and tools. No tenemos la dirección y el equipo de que te está guiando, right? Yep. Like that's another thing that we always like is because of this, and this.
Yep. If you're just now tuning in, you're tuning in to Fuego Founders, the new podcast show that helps you through that entrepreneurial journey. I'm Joe Ochoa Jr., el Gran Empresario.
And I'm Jessenia, Jess TheCEO.
And today what we're talking about, our topic is about the formation of the business. You know, many people don't know how to form the business, what it takes. Obviously, y'all offer those services to actually build that, and it's a building block. If you don't have this correctly, I actually work through America's Empresarios with some customers that didn't form it correctly. Now they're all scared, the IRS or what have you. You know, everybody's scared about the IRS, but I think what it boils down to this is that there's basically procedures, there's the do's and don'ts.
Exactly.
And as long as you stay with that, you're fine. But the problem is you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to form the business. And that's what we're talking about here today.
Right. And then that's another topic that our business owners are like, well, I'm scared of an audit. And I'm telling them, I'm like, okay, we have the accounting, we have the bookkeeping, you're keeping your receipts because it is very important. A lot of clients tell me, do I really need to keep my receipts? Yes, you do. And we advise for you to keep it for 3 years. I'm like, buy just a plastic container and just put it there by month. And if we need them, we'll bring them out. But literally, like, IRS audits you. If you have everything in order, there's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And to your point, you know, you talk about that little container. I think about my father when he started his business, 15 years old. He don't know about formations and all these things or what have you. He started as a DBA. But one of the things is that I remember him showing up with little shoe boxes and all these little receipts. But then one of the things that I really noticed is like he always made sure his stuff was in order. And it takes that discipline to make sure, because God forbid you are in an audit or what have you, everything's there. Hey, we need this receipt. What is that? Boom, it's right there. Not that I've seen the other side of the business where like, I don't know where that is. I don't know where that came from or whatever. And so that's where I think maybe the IRS kind of frowns upon. It's like, what does this guy do? This guy shouldn't even be in business, right? But if you have your stuff in order and things like that, I've heard of stories where the IRS owed money to the business, right? Because they overpaid, et cetera, and so forth, which is kind of rare, right? But then always the opposite side.
No, absolutely. Well. And that's another thing. Like, just being a business owner, yes, you're passionate about what you do, but also you have to have that discipline, that you have to have that mentality that you have to have everything in order. It's like going to the gym.
Yeah.
I always tell my clients whenever we're calling them, like, hey, you wrote check 1202. What does this mean? What is it for? We're like on them, right? And we're going to be that coach that we want to make sure that you're doing things right and we have your back as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, the biggest thing, and you've said it before, I know I've heard you say it to me and to people around us, is that your business bank is not your personal,
Correct.
piggy bank, right?
Yes.
Business is business and your personal
Right.
do not mix. And a lot of people do that all the time. I'm sure you run into people that you see grocery bills on there or whatever and like, what is this? I'm like,
Louis Vuitton and like Chanel.
Yeah,
Why are you buying it?
Yeah. I'm an influencer, right? That's what it is. So.
Yes, no, absolutely. I mean, there's some, industries that right now they're fighting because, there's a lot of content creators out there that they have different ways that they're doing business and they want to write off certain, plastic surgery and things like that. They're still in the limbo there.
There's a gray area.
There's a gray area there.
Yeah.
So I do have a lot of clients that call me and they're like, well, I'm an influencer or a content creator and I want to write off this. I'm like, well, it depends how risky you want to get, right?
Yeah.
So we can definitely.
And, one of the things that I wonder, and this is probably way above my pay grade, but is, the tax code is written, right? Or is tax codes throughout the year, do those change? Do they improve? Like, how does that change and help? Because guess what? Maybe at once upon a time, maybe the surgeries or, taking these trips and doing that because you're a vlogger and that kind of thing or what have you, that's an expense of the business, right?
Yes.
Now, do you get some perks? Yes. But it's an actual expense of the business.
Right. No, they do change, especially right now. We have two codes and that they're still in limbo. It's the child tax credit. We don't know yet if they're going to bring it up to $3,600. It's at $2,000 right now. So we're still waiting. It's funny because it's January 29th is when we start tax season. And it's like, we're still waiting. So we're still waiting on that bill to pass. And also the depreciation, which is important for business owners, that you can depreciate up to 100% of anything like assets like vehicles or machinery that you buy for the business, things like that. So for sure, right now, we're like waiting on those two. So I'm telling my clients, I'm like, let's hold off if you have kids, dependents, because we don't know if it's going to change.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it does change.
And you talked about the depreciation. One of the things that I've seen, and it became very, very popular, is obviously if you purchase a vehicle of 6,000 pounds or greater, right?
Right.
You can write that vehicle off. But you were getting some people that were, I guess, abusing, right? They're going and buying the G-Wagons and doing this and that, and then they're on TikTok and Instagram, and you're like, look at this. I wrote this off 100%, the government. And I think that's what happens. It's like this kind of in-your-face thing. And then who really is the matter expert? Like, is it this guy on TikTok? Is it this person on Instagram? A lot of times, they're working in their basement trying to do and be an influencer or whatever, but they don't have any certifications. They don't have a degree. They're not a tax specialist.
Right. I always tell them, I'm like, always seek professional, tax professional help, because you just don't know. Like, depreciation is a whole ball game. Like, you have to understand, like, 1 year you can depreciate it, or if you're going to depreciate it off like certain, like you can't write off, certain things if you're going to depreciate. So it's just a whole ball game. So I leave it, I love my team. Shout out to our team and also our sponsor, SAS Tax and Business Solutions, and also our sponsor, right?
Yeah, Joe Ochoa Roots and even more. Been in the business since 1971, protecting your home by putting the best roof system on your home. So super excited. So thank you, Joe Ochoa Roots and even more, for the sponsorship. Man, there's just a lot going on. And if you're just now tuning in to our show here, it's Fuego Founders, the podcast show that guides you through the entrepreneurial journey. It doesn't matter where you're at. If you're in the beginning of your journey, midways, 5 years, 10 years, or even 30 or 40 years in the journey, there are things that are changing. We talked about tax codes change. Make sure that you connect with us because we can guide you. But not only with us and what we do, we have a whole community around us that can help you. right? And so whether it's insurance and, other things in the industry, they can help you, guide you, and coach you along the way. But we're here for you. Fuego Founders, where it brings insight, grit, and growth of the entrepreneurial journey. And super excited. Joe Ochoa Jr., El Gran Empresario.
Yes, and Jessenia, Jess TheCEO. And I also wanted to mention that if you're interested in sponsoring this show, please let us know. This is a great opportunity for your brand to come out and just, people that hear us, they can maybe need your services. You never know. Like, I am always looking for like insurance, or clients call me and they're like, I need an insurance agent, I need a roofer, I need a plumber. So please let us know.
Yeah, most definitely. But I want to talk about two things right now. I want to talk about the tax, kind of continue this, because you're in the guts of what's about to be kind of crazy.
Exactly.
To be able to come here and do what we do or whatever, we're always busy, but especially you, like, this is your Super Bowl. But I also want to talk about the brand. You touched about that after we go about taxes. So what's going on right now in tax season?
So pretty much right now, I did touch about the two bills that we're waiting for Congress to pass. So I like the child tax credit and also depreciation. One of the things that I do advise clients to make sure that they have all their paperwork in order, making sure you have your driver's license or IDs in place. If you have dependents, you have to bring their social security, date of birth, and also birth certificate and school records, because we want to make sure that we have everything in order, because believe it or not, as taxpayers you get audited, but also as tax professionals we can get audited too. Did you know that? Yeah. So we want to make sure that we have everything in order. If you're a business owner, make sure you have your numbers. You want to know your numbers, what your sales were, what your expenses, and then that way we can know your net profit. That's where you pay taxes on, the net profit. Yeah. And a lot of people think that because maybe they made a profit of 100,000, they have to, or if they have 100K in their bank account by December 31st of the year, they think that they have to pay taxes on that money. No, it's the money that you made profit on.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So those are important numbers to bring as a business owner, and that way we can. If you're paying too much in taxes, we can help you with that tax liability and see what is it that you're doing that we can help either structure your business correctly, or how you can maybe put in some depreciation there in your machines, right?
But I think it goes back to what you were talking about is if you were going to the gym, if you went and you did it on your own, that's one thing. But if you actually had a trainer, a coach there with you, and that's really what you are, right?
Yes.
You're guiding them, what they need. And I think that's what happens. And I hate to say, especially our community, they have a passion about, making tacos and tortas and this and that. They go start it, but they don't understand. That's why we are doing Fuego Founders. The reason being is that we know that there's a lack of education in what we do. And what we're talking about today, guys, I got to be honest with you, it's probably not like super exciting about all the world stuff and all these things and Louis Vuitton bags and Ferraris and Lamborghinis. But let me tell you, if you learn this stuff right, you will have all those things, by the way. But you have to know, because there's nothing worse than you're working and you're building your business and you're building your brand or whatever, and then you have a huge tax liability because you didn't have a professional that helped you along the way. I've seen it so many times where people in the restaurant industry, they just blew up. You think they blew up, but 5-6 years. But then you find out that they're not paying taxes. They're collecting sales taxes, and they're not paying sales tax, which is a whole nother level.
Another whole ball game right there. So yeah.
So could you imagine? And then all of a sudden, everything you work for is gone, and you're not here to cheat the system. There is a system. You have to learn how it works.
Or get the professionals.
And get the professionals to help you and guide you along the way. But I love the checklist. I think, for myself, when we started our business back in the day or what have you, I think that would have really helped us out.
That's awesome. So. No, I mean, we love it too. And I just wanted to touch base a little bit. Now you reminded me that. So this week alone, I've had like three business owners or self-employed people call me, and they're like, you know what? I'm obsessed because this platform, beep, I'm not going to say the name. They went in there and tried to do their own taxes. They started putting, this platforms ask them questions, and they're like, why do I have to pay $5,000 at my net? I didn't even have like profits. I'm like, first of all, why are you trying to do it yourself? Like you're a business owner. You have to make sure that your numbers are okay and that you're seeking professional help. Like I'm not going to go try to put a roof or, like
do your own plumbing.
Yes,
or
exactly.
build,
Like that's not my forte. So it's like, you have to look for professional help. And I'm like, just come to us, bring us everything, and we can help you. You know, it's just like, don't try to do it yourself.
Most definitely. So, formation of the company, super important. It's the building blocks. It's the foundation, right?
Everything is a write-off. So starting from like all the LLCs, all the fees, all the licenses, whatever you pay us at SAS, it's a tax write-off. It's an investment. You have to see it as an investment. When you start a business, it's going to be losses. Like the first 3 years, it's shown that you're not going to make money until the third or fifth year.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. No, super excited about that. Like I said, for most of y'all that are listening out there, you might think like, oh, I don't want to listen about taxes. But if you don't have that foundation correctly, but most importantly, is to get the tax professional to help you. And then they're guiding you. And then you don't have to think about it. If you do it up front, it's like building a home, right? Like I'm in that industry. The home improvement industry. And so if I don't have a great foundation, then everything else will come tumbling down. So make sure you have the right formation.
Exactly.
And
absolutely. No, go ahead.
So kind of moving to you touched on it earlier. I want to talk about it, and it's a brand, right? We hear the word brand and brand and brand. And what does brand mean to you? Because there's really two, right? There's a personal brand, and then there's a business brand. So what does brand mean to you?
For me, it's professionalism. My brand is everything. Like my heart, that's my baby. Like I have to, if I showed you my logo, whenever I started, and now my logo is like, it's just improved. Yes, exactly. Shout out to our marketing team as well, that they've helped us so much. There we go with professionals. I tried to do my logo on my own, and then I had to 100%. Get and it's just crazy. But for me, it means professionalism. It means what the world sees, because I feel like now I'm at a point that they see my logo, they know who SAS is, and it goes to me, right? Yeah. Professionalism. We help business owners. We deal with taxes, so it is very important for me. And it's important whenever like clients start their business. I always tell them like, okay, you have to think about a name that you're going to see everywhere in your cups, in your hats, in your shirts, right? That you represent your brand.
Correct. Yeah, super important. It's interesting. You don't think about what brand is until people start telling you like, oh my, every time I see the red, I think about, Joe Ochoa Roofing. And people ask me all the time, why the color red, right? Yeah. And so, I asked my dad, right, because he really was the one that kind of came up with it. What we did is just took that and say, hey, we need to make sure that's all our vehicles are the same, all our branding is the same, all that. Yeah. But he's just like, red's the color of love. Right? Yes. Red's the color of passion. You got to be passionate about what you do. And so that's when you start creating that story about what it is. We all naturally have the story of our business, why we got into a business, right? To serve our community, to help people, et cetera, and so forth. We all have our own story. And it's our job to share that story and the brand with the community. And then when you do a great job, what happens? They tell the next person, the next person. I mean, you have countless stories where somebody said, hey, I came in because Jessenia's, friend referred me to or whatever, and or Jessica or, John or whatever, because you helped them out in a situation. That's how you build a business, right? We've talked about the formation of the business, and then when you start building that actual brand or what have you. Yeah. And you got your own colors too, right?
Yes, so mine is green and gold. So I was very...
Why those colors?
So one, green, because it's money, growth, and it also means like just peace. Yeah. For me, it's peace. And I'm very big on Zen. So whenever people come in, I like the green. Like that's very important for people to come in, not to be in a place that they're already nervous because it's IRS, it's taxes. How much am I going to pay? So we have to make them feel comfortable, right?
Exactly.
I even give them a little cup of tea. So if you come and visit us, you definitely will have café con pan or tea.
There you go. There you go. I love it.
So yeah, so that's, and then gold just, it's success.
Yeah.
And my logo, I've kept a star because I just, sometimes, you want to shoot for I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but it's you shoot for the moon and then you can
land
hang
on the stars.
Yes,
hang on the stars,
exactly. Yeah.
You got it right.
Yes. So, that's what it means. And even like my designers are always like, do we really need to keep the star? I'm like, yes, I need the star in there.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Everything means something to us. And then what happens is our followers, our customers, they start, like, hey, I connect with these people.
Exactly.
For me, being in the business for such a long time, one of the things that I love is I remember when your family business did our roof when I was, 10 years old. And now they're our client, right? To be here for generations is amazing,
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to the story of the bamboo tree, right? Most people don't know that when you plant the bamboo tree, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes 6 or 7 years before you can actually see the formation of it. But what you're doing is setting roots, and that's what the brand is. The brand is setting those roots in, being consistent, being authentic.
Correct.
This is one of the things that I talk to people and they struggle is they want to be somebody else. They see another influencer, they see somebody on TV and they want to be them. If you really want to build a community because you are trying to be an influencer, you're trying to build it, be authentic, be who you are. Wouldn't you agree with
No,
that?
I agree. And I'm going to be honest. So I'm going to share you a story. So whenever I went to Vistage, I saw this red truck outside. And for me, I'm always like, I'm sales, right? I'm like, ooh, Joe Ochoa, roofing. Okay, I wonder if they have like a bookkeeper, right? So what your logo, your truck inspired me was friendliness. I'm like, oh, just by your truck, I felt like I could approach you.
Yeah,
that was like, hey, like, very approachable. And also it shows like family. Like I can bring my son with me and be like, hey, look, we're going to go visit Joe Ochoa.
Yeah. And it's so interesting that you say that because, we've had these deep conversations because, during times, right? Like this logo's been around for 50 plus years.
Wow.
And so you want to kind of like, okay, we have a new era. You want to change a little bit and all that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, have you rebranded ever?
Never rebranded. Okay. And we've had these conversations. And so what we did, because my dad goes, look, me personally, he goes, if you look at some of the, the big brands that are out there, national brands, right, that we won't mention because they're not one of our sponsors, but national brands that are out there in they don't really change that much. They might change some colors here and there. So what we did is actually we reached out to the community and asked people like, what does this mean to you? What do you think? Would you change it and all that?
Oh,
and,
okay.
Because I was actually considering rebranding it, right?
Okay.
Because we deal with some high-end luxury, homes. We're talking about $5-10 million homes. And to me, when I personally was looking at this, I would, this looks like a little shack and I'm working on whatever. But what's interesting to hear from those people and say, no, very approachable, right? I know what I'm going to get.
Oh, so I got that right.
Family business.
I didn't even know you. And then I was like, I'm going to go in. Who's Joe Ochoa? I was going to go in there and be like, who's Joe Ochoa?
Yeah. So it was just interesting to see. And so for that reason, we've never changed it because here I'm thinking, hey, we need a rebrand or whatever. But what we've done is, we do solar shingles. So we have a particular brand, but that kind of feeds off with that too as well. But it's important to understand your brand. And in the very beginning, you can change it and you can move it around. One of the things that I ask is get a peer group. Get a peer group that you can show your logo, show the brand, what you're trying to do, and then let them guide you. Because a lot of times it's not what we think, it's about what the community is seeing. We may see things one way, but the community, the people that are looking at it, if I'm going to go sell, tacos de whatever, bistec, and nobody likes taco de bistec, then I don't have any customers, right? So,
No, that is very important for me, like branding and taking care of it, because that's your reputation. You
Exactly.
want to make sure that clients understand where they're coming and that they feel secure. Like for me, professionalism, ethics, making sure everything confidentiality, that is very important for me. So that's
100%. Exactly. And we're going to talk about going to that core values, mission statement, vision statement, kind of the next thing. But if you're just now tuning in, this is Fuego Founders. The entrepreneur journey starts right here, wherever you are. We want to help you. We're going to give you insights and what it takes to be an entrepreneur. My name is Joe Ochoa Jr., El Gran Empresario, and I have
Jessenia, Jess TheCEO.
Yep. And going back to what you were talking about, because it's, kind of leads to that next topic. A lot of people, we talked about the formation of the business, right? We talk about tax, we're talking about branding, and now we're actually going to talk about the core value, the mission, the vision, really setting that culture of your business and what that takes, just out of curiosity, what are a couple of core values of maybe some of the businesses that you help or y'all's business?
For sure. For us, it's very important love, in that we make sure that we do things with love. Because if not, there's no point. People can sense it, whenever you're not being honest. Honesty, we want to be honest with our clients, and also integrity. Those are our core values. Because
I'm going to challenge you here. I'm going to challenge you here a little bit, and you're probably not going to like it. Okay, you ready?
Okay.
Here's the thing is, a lot of times we say a lot of words, right? A lot of fancy words that we hear from other people. But the true measure, if you're living that, is if I was to call one of your employees right now, would they know those things? So here it is. Here's the challenge. Would they know your core values?
Yes.
There you go. You passed the test.
Because we put it out there. Actually, I'm gonna paint it out in one of our walls. We're gonna to make sure that once they come in, they remember what our core values are.
Yeah. Yeah,
every day.
But you know what's interesting?
To stay motivated.
Exactly. And to know, right? So one of the things that our team does when we're presenting to our customers in our presentation, we actually share our core values. We share our mission statement and our vision. And the reason why we do that is we actually tell our customers, we want you to catch one of our people, one of our team members exemplifying that.
Yep.
And if you see them, right, attention to detail, if you see that, that's one of our core values. If they're doing that, I want you to go over there and I want you to praise them, right? Yeah. And so now it's that whole buy-in, right? The customer buys in, they're like, wow. And that's why they're buying from you. Yep. And the same thing for us. In our case, we have to have them in English and we have to have them in Spanish, right? Yes. They got to understand, right, what exactly we're doing. And I think what happens is, and it's so sad because for 53 years, that we've been in business, you think you have it all figured out. We don't. We're still growing. Times are changing. Things change. You have to adapt to the new change that's here.
Exactly.
If you don't adapt, you will die, right? And that's why we bring Fuego Founders, because we want to bring insights, things that we've learned, and share it with you, especially our community. Right? We don't know about a lot of these things.
Exactly.
So, it's important.
So what are your core values for them?
So our number one core value is faith.
Okay.
Next one is family, serve our community, integrity, honesty, right? So that's why I always say, because a lot of times you hear people, but it's like, are they exemplifying that?
Right.
And so it's just fun, right? It's fun because it's important to make sure that they see them. Like our team sees them every morning when they come in, right? And then we challenge them. We bring those up in the meeting. But understanding not only that is why they do what they do.
Exactly.
Because here's the thing that people forget. Your technician, your IT guy, your accounting department, whatever, they leave their family that morning and they're with you for 7-8 hours of the day.
Right.
Right? And so they have to understand why they do what they do. Because everybody thinks that people are motivated by money. People are not. If you sit down with your employees and truly understand what moves them and what gets them up in the morning when they don't feel good, when their child is sick, when their car breaks down and they still have to make it to work, is they have to buy into your core values. They have to understand the mission and the vision of the business. And that's why serving our community is one. They understand that.
Yes.
that they're serving our community, and it makes a difference.
Yes, no, and I agree. And another thing I want to touch base is that even though you're just one person in your business, it's okay. You can start establishing these core values, and then once you start hiring people, that's where you come in place, and you do the hiring or the interview. Hey, these are the core values of the business, and the employee feels like, oh wow, okay, they truly care.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one thing that our team and our culture as well. We're very united. Like we have each other's back. You know?
Have to be.
We're a team.
Yeah, you're a team, because if you don't, then that's where the culture shift happens.
Exactly.
Right? Because a culture can destroy a business.
Yeah.
And you hear this word culture more and more. As a business owner, a lot of times you try to set the culture, but the people really set the culture.
Right.
And so you have to be a part of it. And I'll touch on this just because our Houston Texans are playing this weekend, and good luck to them.
Good luck, Houston Texans.
Super excited about that. But one of the words that I hear quite a bit is the culture. Like, how can a young team like the Houston Texans do what they're doing? It comes from leadership, right?
Right.
Got a great coach, got a great quarterback. You have a great team, but they all know the core values, the culture, what they're trying to do in that business. And so, because it is a business at the end of the day.
Yes.
And super excited about them. So way to go, Houston Texans. Super excited about what you are doing. I've been a season ticket holder since day one. This is super exciting because I've been through the ups and downs.
So you're going to go to the game, or?
I'm not going to Baltimore. I actually considered that because the game's all the way in Baltimore. But hopefully if they bring it back here, we can go to that game.
And that's another thing I love about Houston, and just, well, yes, Houston, because I don't know about the other cities, but we're very united. Like Astros play,
Yep.
The Texans, we're like, I don't really know a lot about football, I'm going to be honest, but I'll wear the jersey. So for sure, we are supporters.
Because you're a Houstonian,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
We rally back right behind our team and help them out and be that big cheerleader. So my name is Joe Ochoa Jr., El Gran Empresario. This is Fuego Founders. If you're just now tuning in, if you were just kind of scrolling and all of a sudden you find this, who we are and what we do, we're basically a podcast show that guides you through that entrepreneurial journey. It doesn't matter where you're at in that journey. We want to help you. We bring you insights and stories about what it takes to have the grit, the growth, and the inspiration to stay and have that burning desire, fuego, that fire inside of you to keep you moving forward. And I have
Jessenia, Jess TheCEO. And so if you have that fire in you, just bring it out. If you have any questions, please let us know. We're here to help. We're encouraging you to reach out. And if any question you have is no dumb question, please let us know. I'm always I love whenever people come to me and they're like, hey, I have a question about this, and I give them the solution. That's why SAS Tax and Business Solutions, because we love solving people's problems, you know?
100%. And I think that's one of the biggest things that people get shy and embarrassed to ask questions because they think it's a dumb question, right? But if you notice, and one of the things that I love, for whatever reason, you have those people that come from other countries and they come here and they come with a plan and a mission, and they're not shy. And they're in their broken English, and they're trying to figure it out. They hunger, they have that fire, right? That grit, and say, hey, I'm going to go and do something. I love that. And that's really why I started America's Empresarios, is to help those people that had that burning desire and say, hey, you know what? I want to do this. So I want to be a coach and mentor. I did it because my dad didn't have anybody.
Right.
He didn't have anybody.
This is where we connect, because you're a coach, mentor, and then I'm over here coaching and mentoring clients when they want to start their business, or even the same type of business, tax offices. We have a big community of tax agents out there as well.
No, 100%. I think that's, and we mentioned it on our last show, is that's how we connected, because we have the same passion to help, right, to serve, because I hate to say it, is there's just not enough education out there for our community to how to form a business, the formation, what it takes. We talked about LLCs.
Or they try to do it themselves.
They do it themselves, and that's not always a good thing.
Yes.
Especially if you're not a plumber and you're trying to do plumbing, right? Or if you're not a roofer, you do it on your own. And I understand that you're trying to save money, but in the long run, is that really saving you money?
Exactly. Have you had any cases that they're like, oh, I try to fix the leak, and then now it's a bigger problem, or?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, there's certain things that you see on TV that you say, hey, spray this, and the leak goes away. I don't want to name the names, right? But you've seen it.
Yes.
And a lot of people use those products. But really the sad stories to hear is my dad went up there to fix it and he fell off the roof and he broke a leg or he died. Those are the sad stories, right? Because everybody wants to save money. They're trying to figure out. But those are really the things that hurt, right? When we get those calls that he died or he broke a leg or whatever.
So you literally had these stories.
Oh, yeah. No, these
people go in the roof and they climb and they
fall off the roof.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. No, it's very sad. I remember the first time that I actually heard the story was like one of those stories was 16 years old. They said that their dad went up on the roof or what have you, and they slipped on some leaves. Because never walk. By the way, if you're climbing a roof, don't climb a roof. Hire a professional. But for whatever reason,
do not try this at home.
That's exactly
if you're
right.
Not
do not exactly. But leaves get on the roof, and then when they're on there, if they're not blown off and you step on them, you'll slide. And so that was the first time Dad was trying to blow off the leaves. He wasn't fixing the leak. He was blowing off the leaves off the roof, and he slid off, and he broke his back, and he broke his legs. And I'm like, oh, wow. So, they're like, hey, can y'all come out and blow out the leaves and so forth? And we did. That was the first time. And then you hear these stories, and you're like, ugh. And that's where we try to educate. It's like, hey, hire a professional. And in our case, for us, it's free for us to come out, right? Like, it's free to go do an inspection. It's free to look at and let you know what's going on. But we also have maintenance programs, where we come out quarterly, yearly, or what have you. And whether it's cleaning out the gutters or whatever you need to do, fix leaks, seal vents, all that stuff, we do it, right?
Yes. No, and then that puts me back as well. Like, those accidents happen. Like, do you even have insurance? Like, do you have that life insurance in place for your family members? Because you just never know. That father went up there. He didn't know, like, that was going to be his day and how his family is after.
Changes.
So we also have the professionals to help with those type of, life insurance in place. And because at the end of the day, like they say, taxes and death are the ones that we have secure here in this life. So unfortunately,
And that actually leads us to our last topic of the day, and that is succession planning. Right.
Exactly.
You talk about the life insurance, but if you have the business now, we talked about the formation, the tax, right, the branding of the business, and there's so much other stuff, but have you planned on how your business is going to move forward without
Correct.
you? Is it going to be sold? Is it going to be passed on to your kids?
How you're going to exit out.
How you're going to exit out, right? And so y'all help people with that?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, that's amazing.
One thing also I want to touch base is that if you're a business owner and you have a partnership, it's very important that you get a key man insurance. That means that if I have a key man insurance between me and my business partner, because what happens is that at least that alleviates if he's not here with financially, you know what I mean? So it is very important, because how you see key man insurance, and I'm not going to go into a lot into detail, is that or even an employee, because if it's a key employee, you have to replace their salary or what they do, right? Their production. But we do help, because there's different types of how you can exit the business. Is either you sell it, or if you're going to pass it on to the second generation, which is something that you guys are handling right now, right?
Correct.
So, and then also if you go public, eventually if you want to go public, you can also go IPO. Yeah, we can definitely help.
But the important part, it starts with a plan, right?
Right.
You got to know, as the business owner, you're the business owner, is you got to look at how do you want this business to move forward, and the tax implications if you don't do those things correctly, right?
Yes, and that just brought me another point, is that even whenever, like, this should be in your first step, is putting a business plan. That's another thing that, as business owners, or myself, I didn't have a business plan until I brought a professional, which is my business partner. He helped me do a business plan. And it's something that you go, if you're feeling like sad or down, I always bring it up and I'm like, okay, let me read over it. Where are we at? Like, it's not going to be always, success. It's going to be ups and downs. In the entrepreneurial.
It reminds me of, if you've ever seen that photo, it's an iceberg, and it says success, right?
Yes.
And this is what everybody sees, right? It's above the water,
Yeah.
right? But what people don't see is underneath, right? That grit, the crying, right? The crawling, like all the, getting your hands dirty. This person didn't show up and you're in the guts of it or what have you. That's what people don't see.
Exactly.
They see the overnight success. They see your Instagram post and now you're traveling.
They see me all nice in here, but they don't know that I just came from the bank and I was having trouble and I was like, I need to get to my podcast.
Yeah, exactly. People don't see it. Same thing with me. I was with the customer this morning or what have you, and then it's running a little bit over and you're just like, oh, am I going to make it on time? And then, it's a little bit of
we are here for you, Fuego Founders.
That's right. Fuego Founders here for you. Showing you the entrepreneur journey. Doesn't matter where you are in that journey. We want to help you. Not only us and what we bring, because we bring our own talents here, but the community that we're forming and what's around us, how they can help you. And so make sure that you you subscribe, you hit that button, and then you contact us, via Instagram or an email or a text or a call, and tell us what you want to hear. We're going to be lining up guests. We've actually started lining up our guests.
I love that.
We're super excited. But more importantly is what they want to see, right? Because this show is for you. It's not about us. We can stand down here and look nice on our mics and talk, but it's really is what is the value that we bring to you to help you through this journey, because we know that our community needs it, and Fuego Founders is here for you.
Exactly. So I'm very active on social media, so you can find me at Jess TheCEO _, and we will soon have our own page as well. So that way you can reach out, because we want to hear from you. We want to know what is it that you don't know that you want to know, right? Or sometimes you hear things and you're like, wait, I didn't know about that. So talking about life insurance, that we did mention it, we will have a professional as well that we can help with that as well. Business plan, business structure, life insurance, all that. We will be able to give you all the tools and resources.
Yep. And a lot of that, what we talked about today, is that formation, kind of that beginning. And also for those that have been in that entrepreneur journey, is what do you do when you've been in the business for 10 plus years and you're making lots of money or what have you? What other investments, right? So we're going to bring in investment strategists, how to help you, how to invest, financial advisors and so forth, or whatever, of what to do with that money. Because at the end of the day, it's one of the things that I talk to my son. He just started his own clothing line business, and he's super excited, the brand, the logo, all these things. I said, right now you work for money, and eventually money will work for you.
Yes.
But money can't work for you if you don't have the professionals to help you, right? When you're making that money, it's kind of like the story of the bamboo tree, right? Plant those good roots. They grow up to be 24, 30 feet tall or what have you.
Yep.
But then they're here and they're strong. But that's exactly what financial success is. And that's what we want to bring to you.
We're so excited to bring you all this information. I know that Joe has so many stories as well. So I know you had some books here. Do you want to tell us a little bit about leave us with one book that you're like, okay, are you reading them or what's going on?
So obviously the Bible's always number one.
Yes,
that's number
absolutely.
one book. But I'm going to tell you, here are a couple books that I love, right? God is My CEO. I talked a little bit about it last time. And then Seller Be Sold. That is a great book too as well. But I'm going to tell you, there's a book that I usually don't bring around because it stays in my home. It's part of my library. And that is a book that really changed the way I think and how I do things. And that is a book by Napoleon Hill. And a lot of people have actually seen the book Think and Grow Rich.
Correct.
What people don't know is that there's actually the original book, which I happen to have, and that's called The Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill.
Gotcha.
And that book right there really changed my life and how I, view things and see things, organize effort, building a team. And I think what happens is, as an entrepreneur, is you want to be the taco maker. Well, that's one thing. You're only going to make so much. But imagine if you teach and train other people to learn how to make that, and you have a recipe that you have that recipe to, now you can continue to grow and scale. Look, not everybody wants to grow and scale, but for those that do, there is a pattern. There's a recipe. And that book there by Napoleon Hill really changed my life. Yeah. How about you? What is one of your favorite books?
So one of my favorite books right now that I'm actually reading and that I enjoy is Leaders Eat Last. because I can relate. I'm very big about putting my team first instead of myself first.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes people put themselves first and then I'm all about making sure that my team is good and making sure that I train them, that I give them the resources and tools that they need. So that's one of my books that I'm enjoying right now. So as we are becoming leaders, you know?
Yeah, most definitely. And what's important is not only for you to be a leader, is to form leaders around you,
Exactly.
right? And I think that book may highlight some of those things as well. And as we close up today, you know, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and if you're just now tuning in, right? We're Fuego Founders. I'm Joe Ochoa Jr., El Gran Empresario.
And Jessenia, Jess TheCEO.
I want to share something with you that I've read, I've seen, and we all go through this. And it's, what's your excuse? That's what I want to close with today. What's your excuse from starting your business? What's your excuse for going to the gym? What's your excuse of going to greater heights?
Right.
We all have excuses. And you know, the truth is that we lie to ourselves. We lie to ourselves all the time why we can't go to the gym. We lie to ourselves all the time why we can't start our business. There's so many excuses.
Right.
And here's what's going to happen. And I'm going to tell you, because I've seen it. You're going to see people that come to our country with nothing. You've seen the stories, you've heard the stories, with absolutely nothing. And you have an education. You were born here. Maybe you speak 2 languages, and you did nothing. And you did nothing because you had so many excuses. Wouldn't you say that? I mean, we're full of them.
I agree.
I got my own excuses.
I have my own excuses. And I mean, thanks to my coach, I'm going to be going to work out this afternoon. So I think that's my biggest excuse, like sometimes working out. But after, don't you feel good after you do it? Like, you know?
Always. We know what it does to the mind and the endorphins and the dopamine, all that. But why?
Exactly. It's like that discipline. And I want to give a shout out to the media team that always puts us water here and reminds us that we need to drink our water.
That's right. Yeah. You
take
have
care
to
of ourselves.
hydrated.
We got to take care of ourselves. So yeah, no, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for everyone that joined, and stay tuned because we have more information, more guests, so many surprises. And again, if you are interested in becoming a sponsor, let us know. We'll be happy to help you.
Yep. Thank you so much. I'm Joe Ochoa Jr., El Gran Empresario, here with Fuego Founders. And to one of our sponsors, Joe Ochoa Roots and Even More, thank you so much. And our other sponsor,
SES Tax and Business Solutions. Thank you so much, Jess TheCEO.